William Ernest Henley was born August 23, 1849, in Gloucester, England. As a young child, Henley was diagnosed with tuberculosis and was forced to amputate one of his feet. During his healing period, Henley wrote his most famous work of all, Invictus. The poem greatly described Henley's inner strength and great perseverance. In Henley's older years, he became a very influential editor for several British periodicals. He collaborated with another renowned poet, Robert Louis Stevenson, on 4 plays. G. K. Chesterton described Henley as a sad, sensitive, and a tender-hearted pessimist who endured pain that came from nowhere and enjoyed pleasure that came from nowhere. William Henley had succumbed to tuberculosis in July of 1903 at the age of 53. Invictus by William E. Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I think whatever guides may be, for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstances, I have not winced nor cried aloud, under the bulged ongoings of chance. My head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horrors of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. In William Henley's Invictus, there are compellingly strong messages obviously presented. 2 to be exact. The first, being lucid as daylight, is that every individual is in control of their future. No matter what the future consequences are and how they are presented, the power of such control will always be in their hands, the speakers to be exact. The second message basically explains how the master of your fate is conceivable. The word Invictus means to not conquer, and Henley utilizes this for a unique purpose. Through paradoxes and diction, Henley takes this archaic term and proposes his second purpose of the soul being untouchable or unconquerable because we have the control over it. In the first stanza, Henley sarcastically introduces the idea of God not even having a chance to obtain control over the speaker's fate when he says, I think whatever guides me be, for my unconquerable soul. Line 3 to 4. The term whatever basically negates all seriousness that could be presented by these 2 lines. Also in the following stanza, the paradoxes incorporated into them present the mental and physical ability to conquer an individual overall state. The first is established through presenting a scenario of the shed of blood, even though the speaker's head is unbowed. The second is established through describing a place with wrath, tears, and horror of the shade, and how the speaker remains unafraid. Lines 8 through 12. These paradoxes are so heavily important because Henley uses them as a way to prove that he remains in control over his feelings and physical state despite their circumstances. The fact that the control and fate is in the hands of the individual was something Henley always took advantage of and is the reasoning behind the success of this poem. My personal connection with this poem is on a psychological level. I believe 100% that everyone has control over their future. Also, I believe that Henley meant more by his last 2 lines than just simply an individual having control over their fate. I think what Henley was implying was that you actually have control over your attitude and outlook on your circumstances. Perseverance is something that not everyone is built with, but for those who do contain it, life will shine brighter than any circumstances you may be in.